This is a Wild Game Production podcast. Listening to the Roll for Initiative podcast, the only Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition podcast out there.
We are back with another show. This is Volume 7, 195 of the Roll for Initiative podcast. I am sitting here with Matt. Hello, everyone. And the great Nick.
Howdy, folks.
Crispy is not with us today because he stayed up late last night talking to his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who's overseas actually doing some important teaching, and he wanted to spend some quality time with her, so he stayed up late to chat with her, which is
that's nice. And people won't vomit when they hear the show.
Well, that one guy will vomit. He'll probably call in and vomit.
Yeah, that one guy. Yeah. There's always
570-865-4210 is our hotline for voicemails, and rfistaff@gmail.com is our email address, or you can head right to the website of rfipodcast.com and click on Contact Us, and you can send us an email, or hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/rfipodcast.
There's many ways you could get to us.
Yes. Also, hopefully everybody had a great Labor Day, and we're back with more shows, and for the foreseeable future, we have a whole bunch of things coming down the pipe. Matt's got a bunch of interviews heading out for some extra special content for us, so we'll have a lot of stuff flowing in the virtual pipes, so to speak.
Yes.
In September here and October as we move into the 2018 year. It's coming up quick.
Yeah. Yes, the new improved RFI podcast with 20% more OSR and old school content. Yay!
Yes. So, okay, Matt, talk a little bit about your Gen Con recap that you hadn't had a chance to do yet.
Yes, Gen Con 50, the sold-out Gen Con, which, yeah, it's interesting. When you look at the individual attendance they released for this Gen Con, it was about the same as last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only thing
How was it sold out?
Turnstile was up 4%.
Oh, so you had a lot of just like kind of one day and maybe just...
Well, or no, the people that were buying passes were all buying 4-day passes as opposed to coming on
just showed up at the door.
Well, no, there was no door sales.
Oh.
You had...
I read 200 and something thousand turn...
It was 204,000 turnstile with approximately 61,000 unique, which that number... normally they give an exact figure for the unique. Considering they were fudgy with it, makes me wonder if it was actually the unique was actually down from last year because they cut off sales.
Oh.
But the turnstile was up because those people were going to stay longer, and that kind of plays into what I always thought the issue with the con was. It was more of they saw the amount of people that were going to sign up, and were like, because the past 2 years were. Attendance was kind of flat, around 60-ish. But then this year they hit 60 earlier than expected. So they're like, oh, we don't really have the staff and we don't have the capacity to deal with all of this if we let this go to where it'll go. So I think that's why they cut it off, because they cut it off not because of strict fire code. It was more of how do we give everyone a good con. I actually had the opportunity to talk to Peter Atkinson about this at his suite party on Friday night. Got to chat with him briefly.
Name dropping.
Yeah, name dropping. Not the first of that to come either. But he basically said the main thing they have with Gen Con and the way the Indianapolis Convention Center is laid out, they have choke points. There's just certain areas, herds of people congregate, and they have a lot of room, but they have to figure out how to spread all these people out so they can accommodate more. and just figuring out traffic flow and that type of thing, and like the exhibit hall and the hallways leading to it and the cosplay area, areas that congregate lots of people, figuring out how to minimize the impact of that when it comes to traffic flow. So that's kind of where they're at. And they actually did a really good job. Considering it's a sellout, it felt just like any Saturday from the past couple of years. So it was. I was surprised by the lack of insanity when it comes to the crowd. So that was, yeah. And then, since I already mentioned it, I'll talk about on Friday night, Peter Atkinson threw a suite party actually for his web series he's working on. And so I went to that, and basically right now it's going to be like part live action, part animated, like drawn, and they're looking for extras for the web series. So you could take a picture of yourself in like a get up, and if they like your look, they may make you an NPC basically in the game. You won't have any speaking lines, but you'll be drawn in art as part of the web series.
Is this kind of like a riff on or a take on Harmon Quest?
I'm not sure exactly, because it's a world of Kaldare. I just butchered the enunciation of that. But yeah, I'll throw a link in the show notes to anyone that's interested in applying for it, because it was through the middle of September that you can apply for that and try to get in it. So that was the point of the party. And then we, of course, had some luminaries show up. It was like Luke Gygax made a drop in. John Peterson was there. Satine Phoenix was there. So it was a good time. Very crowded, but hey, when Peter Atkinson's throwing a party and he's supplying all the booze, hey, who's to pass that up?
Hey, open bar, I'm there.
Yep. So that was the Friday night party I went to, and then during the day, they were doing a lot of history panels, and I went to a couple of them. One of them was Fantasy Conquers Gen Con, and that was just where you had Mike Carr, Luke Gygax, Dave McGarry, and Tom Wham just talking about when TSR first went to Gen Con back in 74, because Gen Con is older than TSR, and the impact of Dungeons & Dragons on it. And it was like the first year they were there, 2 tables played D&D, only 2. The next year, the number of tables increased like 40%, and then by 76, it was 70% of the con was RPGs.
Gen Con originally was a wargaming convention, like that started in the mid-late 60s?
Right.
Something like that?
Yeah, because it was actually started in like 68?
Yeah.
It was started in 68 by a wargamers group.
Right.
That Gary Gygax was a part of. So, and they just talked about the growth and just how tiny that horticultural hall was, where that first one was. And they actually, in the field of Lucas Oil Stadium, took that horticultural hall and they took the footprint of that and made the museum for Gen Con. So where they had like the early drafts of D&D and a lot of like contracts and notes. There's some pictures on our Facebook page if anyone wants to see it. But
yes, thank you for doing those little updates here and there. What was going on? People appreciated those.
Yeah,
cool.
So you can, and they even recreated the entryway facade of the horticultural hall, and they plopped that in Lucas Oil Stadium. So you can, when you go there, you're just like, wow, it was so small. It was smaller than even I expected. But that was really neat. Just you're going there and you're seeing all these, just like you're seeing between the historical artifacts, and then they also had a lot of product, but it was like the pristine still in shrink product from like 30 years ago. So where they hit up some of the hardcore collectors for it, because Peter on Wednesday before Gen Con, it was like him and one other person were the people setting up the museum, because he didn't want anyone else to be responsible for possibly damaging or losing this stuff. So he's like, if something happens, it's going to be me. Because the last thing you want to be is the guy who like spilled your soda on the first draft of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Right. So, and then something else I found interesting is we've all heard about the Gen Con at the Playboy Club. It nearly killed Gen Con. Attendance.
When was that? That was 79?
It was Gen Con 10, and it dropped attendance 30%.
Yeah.
Because the kids wouldn't show because mommy was not going to drop little Billy off at the Playboy Club because they assumed everyone there would be like Playboy Playmates. And the con took a huge hit, but it managed to recover, but they realized, never doing that again.
Wasn't that when the next year they switched to going to Milwaukee at the convention center, or was that a little later on?
I think that might have been a little later on. Actually, it was 1977 for the Playboy Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. They went from Horticulture Center 3 years to Playboy Club.
Right. And then they also mentioned, like, back in the early days, it was pretty much strictly male. It was like there might have been... The joke back then was there was like one or two females there, but every guy in attendance claimed they talked to her.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like 45% of the con is female. So,
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one.
It's like that with almost any convention now.
Right. It's getting far more diverse, and hence why it's no longer just a war game convention or strictly RPGs, and it's expanded everything because it's appealing to a broader audience, and hence why you get a better cross section of the communities.
Right.
And then there was also the other one I went to was on Saturday morning after Peter's party. The moderator for this was John Peterson, who was a little worse for wear because we were both out very, very late. I think I finally went to bed about 3:30 in the morning. I think he disappeared from the after party just about like 2:30 in the morning. But this one is about more the mid 80s, and it had like Frank Menser, Harold Johnson, Merle Rasmussen, and Steve Winter on it. And then, so they were talking about the con and also just old TSR, which I never realized how terrible of a disrepair place that old Hotel Claire was until now. Apparently, it was an abandoned hotel that they took over, but it needed a lot of work. There was one point, Errol Otis decided, hey, I'm going to like crawl through like the drop ceiling on the third floor, and he actually ended up dropping through the ceiling and into a meeting. So his feet are dangling from the ceiling during this meeting.
Oh my God!
It's just like you're walking, like there's, and it was just lots of shenanigans like that. It was a very wacky place, and then it was Harold Johnson was the one. He was the one that kept getting responsible for laying people off when the layoffs came. And he hated that because what would happen is people would get brought in as editors or writers, then moved to other departments. Well, when the other departments didn't want them, they would pull we don't need them, but we'll leave it up to Harold if they stay around, if Harold needs them. So he always got stuck having to lay people off. And at one point, Merle wanted to leave. And then, so Harold ended up laying him off because it's like, I know you want to leave anyway. So here, instead of me having to lay off someone that wants to stay here, I'll let you go. That way you get a severance and you can quit.
Yeah. No harm, no foul.
Right. But yeah. And in relationship to the con back then, they had the TSR before Harold took it over had the concept of Gen Con was their favor to the gaming world. You should be lucky we let you show up, and basically everyone hated them because of that. But eventually they figured this out. So they kind of got a little receptive to like, hey, we're not really liked, and that all the other vendors, when they had the big giant castle at the old Mecca, all the vendors wanted to attack the castle and throw things at it and whatnot. So what they did is they bought Nerf guns for everyone, all the other vendors one year, and they basically staged a storming of the castle. And they had Lorraine Williams up on a cherry picker high above the castle with like a Nerf crossbow, and she basically...
I heard about this, yeah.
Yes, and they had a giant Nerf battle as all the other vendors were storming TSR's castle.
Wow.
And that's kind of when they went from Gen Con being, we're doing you a favor, to, here, let's help each other and grow gaming. Mm-hmm. And they lost the us against them mentality. So, But yeah, it was very much, it was great just hearing all the old stories. They did record all of these. I'm not sure how Gen Con's going to release them, but all the history panels were recorded. They had the cameras and mics set up. So, at some point, hopefully all of these will actually hit the YouTube or somewhere so we can view them, because I went to a few of them. They had like 30 of them, just basically covering the entire history of gaming. And so I think something might be up on YouTube. I saw some links that Menser had dropped, so they might be up somewhere. Okay. Yeah, I will have to look for those, and if I find them, I'll start throwing them in the show notes, because they were great. And I got to talk to Merle after his panel. Got him to sign some of my top secret SI books, which is actually humorous considering he didn't work on it. But that's what me and my gaming group's currently playing. So I'm like, I'll get him to sign these, since he did do top secret. But then he showed me a draft copy of the new top secret. So that was New World Order. Yep, New World Order. So that was
Hogan and Nash and Hall, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I would.
I don't think it's that New World Order.
No. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Well, don't ask WWE, because I parlayed to Merle the story of how we figured out what the name of it was when I was doing trademark research, and I saw that they applied for New World Order, and that WWE was actually wanting to investigate it further to see if it infringed on their trademark.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I told Merle that story, and he found it amusing. But and then it was also it was just good times. It was just good times.
It does look really good, that game. So.
Yes, it does. I just a little bit that I was able to flip through after the panel. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely picking this up when it gets out. Didn't get it on the Kickstarter because of Gen Con coming up, but I'll definitely.
Is that's being released under the TSR label, right?
Correct. Yep, TSR Games.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, TSR Games.
Not the original TSR. I just meant the TSR that Jason Elliott was part of.
Exactly. Yeah. And they said it should be later this, hopefully Christmassy is what Merle was saying, for that to be out for people to get. So
I wonder how it's going to be received. We will have to see.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. But, and then also while I was there, I got to do a sit down with Rick Loomis, a Flying Buffalo, talk some Grimtooth, Tunnels and Trolls, and Nuclear War. I got to chat with him for about 20 minutes or so. So, which you probably should have already have listened to now. It was our previous special insert. So, but if you haven't, go back and listen to it. It's actually really fun.
Rick Loomis?
Yeah. Rick Loomis.
Oh, that's that mini show number 9? Yeah, 9.
Yeah, right. Yeah, mini show number 9. So if you haven't listened to it, go back, because it's really fun. And we even had a run-in from Liz Danforth, because she was sitting next to it. Like, she was at the table facing outward to the convention at the booth, and me and Rick are sitting behind her, and we're talking Grimtooth. So she starts timing in on the origins of Grimtooth and why he looks like he does and whatnot, because she had some stories that Rick didn't even know. So
there you go.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then there's also some great FBI stories related to Flying Buffalo too, I mentioned. So yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, their initials are FBI, and that leads to Flying Buffalo Inc. So that leads to some confusion. But yeah, so you'll have to listen to the mini episode to get them.
Wow.
Well, I will listen.
Yeah, go back and listen to that, Nick. It's on the site right now. But there's just, I can't believe that FBI agents, you have to listen to it. Just okay. You'll face palm thinking, why FBI agents trusted Google over their own company directory.
Yes.
Which made me go, when Matt told me that, I'm like, wait, what? Now I had to go listen to it before he put it up a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good interview.
Right.
Okay.
And then, and actually, just to sidetrack FBI stories, Merle told some FBI stories too, because Top Secret got the attention of the FBI. There was the one which I think we all know about, how they left some notes laying around about a game they were running, and they were mistaken for an assassination plot of a guy in Lebanon. So the FBI knocks on TSR's door like, "Hey, what's this?"
Was it that we interviewed somebody that told us that? Who did that?
Yeah.
Was it Was it Tracy Hickman that was telling us
It
that
might have
story?
been.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah. There was that.
He was doing research in the mall for the Russians and things like that. And it was during that time frame that they thought he was actually part of the KGB or something.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes me think of, remember when Steve Jackson did games?
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It was a hacker.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, because I actually mentioned
they were investigated by the FBI.
Yeah, but no, there was another one too, because they released a module, A Lady in Distress, and it used the ship plans of an actual real life ship. 3 years later, that ship was hijacked by terrorists, identical to the plot of that module.
Oh, no way.
Yes, Lady in Distress. The ship was hijacked in 85. The module was released in 82. And the whole plot was...
That was the one in the Mediterranean, the Akiri Lago or something
Yes.
Like that? Oh, my God.
Yeah, they did a module in 82 called A Lady in Distress about hijacking that ship.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, that got a knock, too. So, but, yeah, there's just... If you talk to some of the old guys, there's some great FBI stories floating around. So...
Huh.
Yeah, and then I'll also there's a few more interviews as teasers you'll hear in the future. I did talk to Meta Arcade. They are actually making Tunnels and Trolls Adventures for Android and iOS. They're taking the old Solo modules and bringing them to the tablet. So you make your character, and you can go through the old Solo Tunnels and Trolls stuff. And like level your...
you know who would love that? Glenn of Thaco's Hammer. He would probably love that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been playing around with it, and yeah, you create your character, you level it up, your equipment carries over from scenario to scenario. Right now, they have like four mini modules, and then 2 main modules. Flying Buffalo's one of them. They're doing the freemium model, so you kind of have like hearts, aka lives. So every time you die, you lose a heart, and you can get more hearts. You can buy them, or you can watch a YouTube video and get a heart, or you can just buy the module. Like the mini modules are like $1.
Oh, just buy it.
Just buy it. Yeah, Buffalo Castle is $5. I'm just like, I'll just buy it. So yeah, I've got an interview with them, and I'll do a little review of a more in-depth review at the end of that for the mini episode. And then I was showing Vince prior to this show. I interviewed some guys from Archivos. It's a new campaign manager. That's I just found. I was walking through the exhibit hall in the Entrepreneurs Alley, and I saw this. I'm like, this looks really interesting. So talked to those guys a little bit, and just because I saw this, I'm like, this will be so useful. So.
Is it like a competitor to Roll20 in a way?
No. It's more for campaign notes. Think more Obsidian Portal, Epic Words, except more visual.
Oh, okay.
It's like if you actually put like a good UI on those to where you can actually have maps and chained linking and all of that.
Oh my God! I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the site right now on the back end map that you gave me the login for, and it says legal disclaimer. I own the rights to the content of this story and attest that the use of this content of this story and setting will not violate any rights or any kind of nature whatsoever to any third party. And it has a little box. I consent upon pain of death by ring wraith.
Yes.
That's a consent form.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But yeah.
The top, but yeah, what the hell, right?
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I'll send you a link too so you can look at it, Nick. So that one, because yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, I think, because it's doing something that other things have done, but in a different manner that I just thought was pretty novel. So, but I got an interview with them, so that we have that coming up as well. But yeah,
nice.
Gen Con, definitely good times, albeit very board game heavy. Very board game heavy.
So on a rating of 1 to 5 swords, Gen Con this year.
I'm giving it a 5. I had an absolute blast. Got to see friends I only get to see at Gen Con and hang out with them. Got to see the con. Got to sit down and talk with Rick. Just hearing the old stories was great. I love that stuff. So, but yeah, no, it was just a great time all around. Yeah, cool. And I know the crowds were scaring some people, but if you've been the past couple of years, the crowds didn't seem worse than that. So, yeah, definitely. Gen Con still gets the seal of approval from DM Matt. Not like they need it.
And that's all that's important right there.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So now that that's wrapped, let's head into our first segment of our review for today, Table Manners.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, a fella knew how to judge a fireball on the fly and how far the cleric could push the undead he turned. I tell you, with all these min-maxers and munchkins, metagame and power game, there's something missing that I'm here to learn you. Now sit down and crack your book while I commence to teach you some.
Table Manners.
Okay, everybody, we're going into Table Manners here, and we're going to do a review of a module called, hopefully I get the name right, The Indomitable Domain of Terlath the Tenebrific.
Yeah, that's how I would pronounce it.
Yeah, and it's by Jeremy Reaban. Excuse me, my throat's a little sore, folks. I apologize. And this is a old school rules module that he designed, and it's pretty. The overall layout pretty basic. Got some, I guess, unique artwork, but some public domain stuff.
Yeah, he says it in the back of the module that...
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not a very big dungeon, but it's very dangerous. So it packs a punch in a very small area.
Yeah, you need to make sure you're prepared for this dungeon because there's quite a bit of combat in this thing. And
right. Now, it doesn't say it on the module cover itself, but I think it says it on Drive-Thru RPG that it's level 7 through 9. Is that right?
7 through 10 are meant for 6 party members of first edition rules.
Yeah, 7 through 10, and yeah, you'll.
Though he has put in stats here, so you can play it for D20 edition too, following the whole OGL stuff. So
right, because this is released under the Open Gaming License, so he kind of, in a way, he kind of did a dual statting thing, but it's not that convoluted.
No, it follows the same format like Sword and Wizardry or Osric or anything like that. I mean, you really don't even need to do the whole ascending, descending thing really anymore because you can't really copyright rules.
Right.
So you can do whatever you want. So
this dungeon adventure, this little small compact dungeon adventure, this is how it starts off. It says, during his descent into depravity and carnal horror, the renowned archmage Ronaldo Lanzendry trained several students in the wizardry arts. Most of them shunned his turn towards evil, but some embraced it. A handful of these dark apprentices escaped the calamity that sealed the dungeons of Ronaldo Lanzendry and went on to varied careers of villainy. Lots of adjectives.
Yeah, really.
It's like reading Lovecraft.
I think some of this is inspired by that. If you look at his credits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Very Lovecraftian in flavor in some spots. One such, I guess, apprentice was Terlath the Tenebrific. His necromantic studies took him in a different course than Lazendry's attempt to create life. Rather, Terlath contrived to make contraptions and constructs from corpses along the lines of a flesh golem. And that's where it kind of all kicks off that.
All right, so based on that alone,
yes.
how are we hooking a party of PCs to come into this dungeon?
Yeah, I guess that's where you kind of go, what's the plot hook?
Yeah, don't know.
Right.
I guess one of the things I would kind of, I just think it off the top of my head as a plot hook, is maybe that there's a rumor that there's reports on an outlying area of very strange, peculiar monsters of an unknown type that are running around the area. You could go with that, or you could go with like people disappearing in a certain area. I think the disappearance one work with.
I think the disappearance would work a lot better because the first one, you'll hook the paladin and any lawful good characters, but the rest of them will be like, meh, I don't care.
Right. Yeah, like disappearances of maybe just random people. Or you can make it important people, however you want to hook it into your campaign.
Yeah, you could say like a lord was captured, or you can even go with the whole great wealths and wondrous items down there. At level 7 through 10, people would be like, ooh, wondrous items?
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Or you could go with the hook of like, there's children disappearing.
Yeah. People wander into these caves and they never return.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's a good point. We have this here, and no one has ever survived. You can go that whole angle and like throw it in their throw it in the faces of the people of the party. Be like, no one's ever survived. You guys won't either, so I don't think you should go do it.
Right.
Yeah, you could even throw in something like, hey, you need to go and retrieve this like mushroom or whatever. Hey, it grows in this cave or whatever. Go get it. And then they're like, oh, wait, what's all this? I mean, just any trope you could throw at them to say, hey, investigate a cave would work here.
Mm-hmm. Or you needed to find Ronaldo's whatever ring of signet ring or something, and it's only in this cave because that's where he was.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. That's a good hook there. Why do we need it? Who knows? We'll figure that out later on as a DM.
Right.
Oh, here's another one. If you're going with a magic item, there is one somewhat powerful magic item in there. It's that great axe. We'll talk about shortly. I was just thinking of this. Maybe there's a war going on, and the opposing country or whatever it is, kingdom, they're using hordes of undead, and there's this known magic item that in this area that has been in these caves for decades that has been hidden there, and they need you to find it. Maybe something like that too.
Yeah. Speaking of the great axe, did you notice his comments on that? How he said it was a throwaway term?
Yeah.
Great axe. Great axe is simply a very, meant to say large battle axe instead of saying a very, very battle axe.
Yes.
And uses halberd sets. It's actually a toss-away comment in the 1E monster book, though the term great axe isn't actually used. I thought it was in Unearthed Arcana, the weapon. Isn't it?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I've used Great Axe before while playing 1E way back since playing the game originally with DM Joe. I mean,
the great DM Joe.
Yeah, so I always thought it was part. I never actually took a second thought about that one.
Yeah, me neither. Neither. So there's some plot hooks you can maybe throw out there, however you want to fit it in your campaign. Yeah. I just think it's an interesting side quest, if you want to call it that, because it's not necessarily a huge dungeon. I think there's 15, 16 areas to cover. But on the first page, there was some GM background about Terlath, about basically his necromancy was his undoing. He did not die a normal death. Let's put it that way.
No.
One of his victims came back as a revenant, killed him, choked him to death, and he couldn't cast a high enough spell to save himself, and his spirit came back as a collection of worms and insects known as the worm that walks, which is definitely a Lovecraftian horror sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So this necromancer is a collection of worms and bugs that is more or less haunting these caves. And it gets in a little bit, on the, just basic on the characteristics of the dungeon, your standard caves.
Which is good, because so many of us forget when we write these things down or write our notes or write modules, we forget about, if it's not listed, this is the standard of what it's supposed to be, and I always try to remember to do that with mine now.
Right. So it's a mix of stone and earth, but one of the things that he does say, because of all the experiments that were done in the past, and there's such a strong connection to the negative material plane, all undead are harder to turn by 4. So basically, if you're someone's going to try to turn one of these undead, you got to subtract 4 from the roll from the cleric or a paladin if he's high enough level. So,
what I don't like here is also there's a player's map.
yeah. There is a separate player's map.
I don't like players' maps because that basically just reveals almost everything in my thoughts. So
Right.
Yeah, I much prefer the fog of war method, right?
Yeah. Make them map it themselves.
Yeah, well, I guess that's your choice, though. If you want to use that, it's entirely up to you. I wouldn't use it.
It'd be one thing if it was like, okay, we know the layout of the cave, but when you look at this player's map, it actually has like the pentagram, this magic circle on it. It has like too much detail as opposed to just
much detail.
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah, if you're going to explore these and no one's survived and things like that angle, you wouldn't have a player's map because no one will know what it looks like on the inside.
Right.
Yeah, now if maybe you found the corpse of someone who started to map it, maybe you could have a partial map once you're already in.
Yeah, but even then, you'd probably only have the first two areas, and because this kind of leads into the module, there's the actual main part of the dungeon is blocked. There's a stone block covering it, but there's also like a side cave to that. That's all you get as far as a map, really.
Right. Yeah.
If there was a player's map.
Yeah, it's probably something I wouldn't use at all.
Yeah. I mean, if I was going to give them anything, it'd probably just be, here's the stone block, and there is this side cave that there might be stuff in, but you don't know for certain. That's where people keep disappearing.
I think the player's map is more of a 3E type thing.
Yes.
A lot of the 3E modules always had like player's maps.
Yes.
Things for the lazy gamers, they don't have to actually map. So,
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry people don't like me for that comment. That's how I think about it. Lazy gamer.
And then they also, so that way if you wanted to throw down the battle mat, you know exactly what the scale is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So,
I prefer to, as a DM, to draw each room out as they go into it. That's just my style.
Yeah, same here.
Me too. That's what I mean. Everybody, like, I just drawn an example like on Roll20. You know, you got the whole fog of war feature where it only reveals the dungeon as much as you want the party to see. You know? So, moving on from that, like I said, there's a block that's stone block covering up the main entrance of the cave, and there's a couple of ways that they give as suggestions to move or get rid of that stone block. One of those is like using disintegrate or a rock to mud spell.
Good idea,
yeah. But there's the off to, if you're facing the stone block, off to your right would be this other large cave. And it looks like, when the party goes in it, it looks like there's a whole bunch of spider webs, and there might be two human bodies that cocoon in the spider web, and they start to move. Well, that's everything. Everything is not what it seems. Let's put it that way. This is I guess a quote-unquote a new monster. They're called Xenopterids, excuse me.
That's a 3E monster.
Yeah, it's a 3E monster, and basically a Xenopterid is basically some sort of creature that has evolved to basically look like humans in a way. They mimic humanoids. And they mimic them in a way to where, you know, they maybe appear wearing clothing or armor or something like that. And one of the things I like about this creature is the explanation, like a Xenopterid's eeriest feature is its mouth, a crude, chitinous beak that, when closed, resembles a human face. So when it opens up, like the whole face opens up, that would scare the bejesus out of me. So you got a couple of those that you fight, and they're pretty nasty. Your first creature you're fighting here, there's two of them, they're 10 hit dice. You know? And they have special defensive glue slime, poisonous bite, claw bite of 2 to 12 for each claw bite attack. That's nasty.
Well, don't forget you're also 7th to 10th level, too. So
right.
Scaling up and down based on how many characters you have.
Yeah, true. And then we get, if you actually get into the cave, on the next page of the module, they talk about there's a fork in the dungeon, either going left or right.
Oh, back up for 1 second, though.
What did I miss?
We have to remember there are two bags.
There's a scroll.
Yes.
There's 2 bags of treasure right in front of the 2 bodies there to lure you over to the bodies.
Yes.
Which is actual real. They're real gold and rubies and everything. And then, of course, which I thought was hysterical, was there is an disintegrate scroll right there for you. So in case you don't have the spell ready, there's your way in.
That's very Gygaxian.
Yeah.
With a little nip.
There's in the scroll, there's a note that was written by, Terlath. It says, "My dear colleague, I may be presumptuous, but I have enclosed a useful scroll to bypass my door." No kidding. It even tells you what it's for. How convenient.
Yes. He's a considerate necromancer.
Yes, he is very considerate, or he just thinks he's so powerful. You know, he's like, bring it.
He's very nice. Leave him alone.
Yeah. Then you get to that. If you get past that storm block, you go to the next page. You have the fork in a cave that you find, and if you could see on the, I guess it would be the cave to the right, you could see like a flickering of a campfire. And if you have a ranger, you might be able to find some remnants or drops of blood. And
clues all over the place for various, takes into account for various player character classes and races here, so not everyone's just kind of doing nothing at this point.
Right. You give like the ranger something to look for, something to do. And you give some other things like maybe a thief or an elf might start hearing polka music and singing from the south.
Yeah, I don't know where that's supposed to lead to, because there's no other mention of it anywhere.
Yeah.
There's no payoff.
There really isn't.
And why polka music?
I don't know.
Necromancers are heavily into polka music?
I guess they like their ooh-pa-pa music.
Maybe you should throw an accordion somewhere in this as well, just a magical accordion that plays itself or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's very...
Going with this module, if it's coming from the south, that means it's in the central room, which we'll get to, where there's a bunch of skeletons, but I don't see why they playing polka music.
Yeah,
that would be amusing if that was his version of like a Chuck E. Cheese band, but he did it with skeletons, and they played polka music.
The animatronic skeletons playing polka.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's so obscure a reference, it just doesn't quite fit. You know?
Maybe it was something he was planning on doing and just kind of forgot.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of going with.
Maybe if he's listening, or if someone points it out to him, and he could write in and say, "Hey, the polka music was for..."
Yeah, why polka?
Why polka?
Or if you wanted to just run it, I can actually see you running a campaign off this, where you have to go and hunt down all these dark wizards that is. At that point, but have polka music be in every lair. That's
anyway, it's no big deal. You don't even have to. You can ignore it because there's no reason for it. It doesn't ruin the module or anything. So it's just something we're exploring as we're going around this. We don't want anyone to think that we're bashing someone's work. So
hey, anybody could make those same mistakes. It's no big deal.
Well, I'm just jumping on.
You know what? It might be one of those. Might be one of those mysteries that are meant to be unsolved.
Just jumping on it before someone says, "Well, let's get the UFA picking on that guy."
It's like the worst ever.
Yeah. All right.
But moving on, if you choose to go to the left, there's this area called the Parlor of the Ecorche. And this is another, quote-unquote, new undead. And this one's really creepy when it comes to undead, because this one is basically a skinless humanoid, and it flays its enemies of their skin and likes to wear them. Basically, hollow you out and make you into a sleeping bag. So, yeah. And this one, and it has a name. It's called Zindar. I love how he always gives a lot of his undead in here, actual first names and stuff.
It makes him more unique that way.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And yeah, real nasty monster. It's flay attack, flaying off your skin. And when you go into the dungeon, you see that there is, or in this cave, I believe it says, you see strewn about the room are dozens of outfits and clothing, but all the skins of the previous old owners are folded almost neatly on top. That's creepy.
Yeah. Tidy, okay?
He's a tidy undead, but he's like, it's like rips off their clothing and everything, but when he flays their skin, he folds it up real nice.
Because that's his clothes.
Yes, of course.
But I like the fact that this monster is so deadly and so creepy, but it has no initiative in its undead life. It just kind of just chills there waiting for orders and doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's like, bring it.
Lazy.
Yeah, 14 hit dice too. Real nasty. Armor class of Neg 2.
14 hit dice for a party of 7 to 10 might be a little much. I don't know.
Might be.
Well,
then again, if you gang up on this thing, you might be able to take it down.
-2 AC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't really have any ability except flaying.
Right. His claw attacks are nasty. 318 each. But it's got its standard undead immunities plus your -4 on turning it. I guess
it's
would
definitely
this be considered
badass.
special?
Oh, yeah.
Would this be considered quote unquote special on the undead table then?
Ooh, it's also a large creature.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It moves pretty fast. But I'm thinking it must be under the special category of turning undead table, right?
Oh, yeah.
Would that make sense?
Yeah, it's going to be special, yeah.
So it's already at the very, very bottom of the table of the hardest to turn.
And then it gets
then
plus
you get
four.
a -4 to turn it?
Yep.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're not really turning much in this.
No. Unless your cleric is at least 10th level, and that's even beyond a normal, it's at the top level for this module, 7 to 10, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you got, Zindar, this flame undead creature, and then if you go south where the supposed polka music is coming from, this is where you find a campfire. And there are 3 skeletons sitting around the fire, completely motionless. And then, I actually like this one. This is kind of interesting, where, then the logs and everything on the fire start to shimmer and shake and move, and it forms into basically some sort of weird construct golem thing.
Basically a, skeleton Voltron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically what it looked like to me, a skeleton Voltron.
It's what he calls a wicker golem.
Yeah, it's a really cool looking friggin' wicker golem,
Yeah, think of it like Wicker Man, but the weird thing is it's on fire, and the fire doesn't consume it. It actually gives it, it gives it special abilities.
Yeah.
And then you have those skeletons, which are nasty, who eventually animate, and they each have, gems in their eyes of different colors. Red, gray, and blazing blue, and each of these, they could cast spells out of.
Mm-hmm. It's like that monster that we did a couple issues ago with the gem eye that did the special spell. What was the name of that monster? Matt did it on one of his...
Yeah.
Oh, the Eye of Fear and Flame.
Yes.
Yeah. The Fiend Folio. Yeah, that's the one where it could cast with a 6 or 8 hit die fireball, every couple of rounds.
Yep.
Right. 9th level burning hands here. Got acid arrow. You have sleep.
Yep.
And they attack as their 9th level fighters.
Yep.
Ouch.
And I think that, they each, the red-eyed skeleton casts burning hands twice a day. The grayish-eyed one casts sleep twice a day. And blue-eyed can cast acid arrow twice a day. So, nasty. And the spells are cast as if by a 9th level magic user as well. So, pretty darn nasty. But the cool thing is, if you knock them off, you can claim the gems inside them. And this I did not get. What did this mean? If the characters make a lot of noise fighting, and they probably do, the singing changes to yells of, hello? Is anyone there?
That's that woman, that devil that's in room 7. That's supposedly Scandinavian American accent.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, I didn't quite
the not a succubus.
talking about.
Yeah, the non-succubus that looks like a succubus.
Yes. And that's okay. All right. Okay. So that's like that. Okay, that's room number 7.
Yeah, it's room number 7.
Yeah, but we have room number 6. Yes, there is a room number 6. Go the central room and down to room number 6, which is the challenge of the Riddle Master,
a.k.a. the Riddler.
The Riddler.
A.k.a. the crypt thing Riddler.
Yes, it's like Crypt Keeper here. Yeah, there's like a skull. Yeah, because it's a Crypt King. It looks like a crypt thing because it's like sitting on a throne or on it with a hooded cloak.
Oh.
You then ask a riddle to the characters. If you ask it right, you get a gem. If you don't, you get hit with 5d6 damage of necromantic energy. And there's no save. Have fun.
Save versus death.
Yeah.
For half.
No save allowed for a wrong answer.
Oh, that's right. Under his rules, he puts necromantic bolt, save versus death, magic for half.
We have a rules conflict here.
Huh.
Well, he probably just copied Necromancer Bolt, the stat block, which probably does give you a save versus half. But
I would go with the save versus death for half.
Yeah, I would do that too.
Because that otherwise, if you get no save,
yeah,
that's a lot of damage for wrong answers.
All right, so he has a bunch of these riddles, which are pretty simple or hard, depending on if you're a real person or not. I may have gotten some of these, may have not. But the one thing that cracked me up was that if the PC's attacked, he abruptly vanishes, and they have a 50% chance of raising the ear of the god of a game show host, the griffin-headed Nimrim? What?
That's an anagram, I think, of Merv Griffin.
Yeah, it is. It's Merv Griffin anagram.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, but it's just like, what? Wait, why? Huh?
So apparently, I didn't know we had deities as game show hosts, but I love them, and they're now going to be in all my games.
Yes.
I'm also thinking you could actually take the Riddle Master, but make it part crypt thing, so that the wrong answer, instead of bolting them, it transports them somewhere random in the caves. So you see the bolt shoot out, they disappear. So you don't know if they're evaporated or not. And then they're in one of the other random caves.
Or you could be a real jerk. They get hit with the necromantic energy, take damage, and disappear and go someplace random. Aha!
Yeah.
Do both.
Double jerk move.
Yeah.
Yep. Double jerk move. Thank you. And then we meet our anime succubus, I guess.
It's not a succubus.
But not a succubus. Succubus, but not one.
In room 7. We're going on to room 7.
Room number 7, it's like a study library, alchemist lab sort of place. And you find a scantily dressed woman with bat wings. I guess she's inside the circle, the magic circle, yes.
Yes.
And she says, yes, I know what you are all thinking, but no, I am not a succubus. I am a devil, a Heteria devil, whatever. And in the description of this type of devil, how would you best like describe it? They're very alluring, and they kind of they twist any good intentions that you may have into something that'll end up evil.
Right.
That's a devil. It's basically just a devil.
They're lawful evil rules lawyers.
Right. And then it does say in here that she will cooperate with the party and help get them out, because she's looking out for herself too, because she also wants to start to eventually corrupt some of the player characters later on.
She offers a free month of service if they free her.
Yeah.
Yes. and her name is Nyla. She was in her former life a priestess of Freya, who's a Norse goddess. So she speaks with a Scandinavian American accent. So she sounds a little like this.
She talks like the mom from Bobby's World with all the G's. Oh, yeah, gosh.
There you go.
You don't know.
Gosh. Oh, up over by there, I'm up over like from the 7th plane of hell there, And then we'll bring a hot plate. We'll bring a hot dish over for your for your thing there, so you can have some. There you go.
Using it to her
I'll
advantage.
tell you that. That's a nice picture. And there's some books there you could get for coinage that you can sell. And it does say at the end if the books on the shelf are devoted to either black magic or really depressing poetry. I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. And the fact that they're all worth something except for the poetry book is worth 10 copper.
Yeah,
Yes.
10 copper. And it does say good characters cannot sell the volumes without alignment problems. They must either donate them to a responsible party or destroy them. I thought that was interesting. So
think about that. I mean, a good character is not going to want to spread these out. They're going to want to destroy them or find a way to get them out of the evil's hands. And selling them to anyone is pretty much promoting the evil. So
right.
Makes perfect sense. And besides, with all the loot they're getting through this anyway, there's like been gemstones and coins everywhere in this. So them losing out on like 30,000 in gold selling these books, they're not going to miss it.
Yeah.
What's good is that he actually outlines all the experience and all the gold you get throughout the entire module in the appendix section, so you can see exactly what you're giving out overall in one big glance, which I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you have her, Nyla, and she's going to, hang out with all you there, head on through the rest of the dungeon.
So is she going to be with the party the whole time if you free her?
Impression, yeah.
Yeah. You get a devil as an NPC if you free her. And she has all the devil powers.
Yep, she knows a little bit about Terlath of what he's like. And so I get the impression she will, in some cases, probably help the party.
And it looks like it's up to the DM to figure out why she's there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no, let me look. Maybe I didn't read anything about her and her backstory, so continue.
Yeah.
Well,
she turned her backstory.
That's right. She turned her temple into a brothel. Hence, that's why she became a demon or a devil. That was her curse. So, yeah, she was originally a priestess of Freya, then she turned the temple to Freya into a house of ill repute, and she was cursed to become this devil.
But I'm just kind of looking because I know playing this thing, my players are going to be like all over this, hot devil chick. Why was she put in the middle of a pentagram in the middle of an evil dungeon? And it doesn't really say at all. I'm looking through the rest of the module. No, I don't remember reading anything.
How did she get there?
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things that DMs are going to have to make up.
Yeah, figure out why she double-crossed him or something, and why would he imprison her? Why would the devil and a necromancer be feuding?
It's just something to think about as a DM. When you're reading this, you're going to say, well, what if my players ask me this crap? I'm going to need to think of something really quick, or at least plot something out.
Yeah, and it's something that if you're not careful, you can kind of overlook it because, a group of players will ask something of that nature. Absolutely. So, you're might have to come up with some a quick backstory on how she got there.
It only came up because that's what I would do as a player. I'd be like,
I would too. It's like, well, how is it that you're trapped in this pentagram?
Right.
Yeah. If my DM threw this at me, I'd be like, wait a minute. Why is she in the middle of an evil dungeon? Trapped in a pentagram.
Right. Something's not kosher, right?
Yeah. Nope.
Something ain't right.
Yeah, I gave you a little.
Nope. And that's where you go. There's another section of 8 here, the Necrocraft Legion. And I guess this cave is kind of a storage area, and Terlath was trying to make a legion of these necrocraft creatures.
Which are really cool looking.
Yeah, which are really cool. Which are basically made of bits and parts and pieces like different monsters, from what I understand. But he only got to make like a squad of them. So, poor guy. But they're nasty. They can fly. They have Some of them can fly. They basically look like gargoyles or generic forms of demon. So they're constructs, but they're not dynamic. They're dynamic. They're made to look dynamic or devilish.
This was drawn by Gary Dupuis. I think I'm pronouncing this Dupuis.
Dupuis, I guess.
Dupuis. I'm probably not pronouncing it. Dupuis? Is that how it's pronounced?
Might be. My French is like, yeah. But
Stock
still,
art.
nice picture. Pretty good picture.
Stock art from Headless Hydra Games. Huh.
It works.
Yeah.
Really cool, yeah.
And so you could run into these guys. You have to slog it out with them.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit of this is a little bit of just a slugfest right here. But you have the issue of like you got a couple of them that can fly that could pose problems. So because I would use those as like if they're flying around, if they could lift characters up and drop them from a very good height.
Throw them at the walls and stuff like that.
Throw them at the walls. Yeah. Yep. I'm like, hey, drop you from 30 feet high. Well, that's 36 damage each drop.
I don't know. I mean, having a devil with you with that unlimited amount of power.
Yeah, seems a little over the top, don't it?
Right.
But
don't you know? Snap.
Yeah, but who knows?
She might not use all of her special abilities, and she plays the part of like the dumb chick.
She could be very much like, well, hey, I can do this, but I'll need something from you.
Or she's like, I don't know. Like, what of?
Matt, don't ever do that again. That was creepy.
Yeah. Never. So, how about what do you say, Matt, on the next one? Because my voice is getting a little raw.
The next one, the graves. Yes, this is what happens when you don't move the graves and build things. Because, this one is
Indian burial ground.
Well, it kind of is. Well, it's a ground filled with angry spirits that are so angry they brought the ground to life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because the frequent internment of angry spirits, because I guess sometimes you can turn happy ones.
Yeah.
Create. You have Casper.
Yeah, true. Well, he's friendly, but he's kind of sad, really. He's like he just wants a friend.
Child.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but yeah, the angry spirits ended up making the earth in this room undead. It's a grave bound, and it basically takes piles of grave dirt and bones and animates them to take various shapes of corpses. When the party enters the room, the grave bound will cause a hole to appear. Like a 10-foot hole under each party member, and they have to make a save. So basically, it's a pit trap that's going to appear no matter where you are. So they have to deal with that. Then if you fall in the pit, that's when the fun happens, because then it starts to bury them alive.
Suffocate you.
Yeah.
And we get some cool rules for suffocation, too.
Right. Yeah, no, I really do actually like these, because you have the number of rounds equal to half the Constitution score for them to escape, otherwise they suffocate. And then once the suffocation starts is when they start taking the damage. It's 2d6, 1d6 for the first round of suffocation, 2d6, 3d6, 4d6, basically add a d6 each round you're in. And so, yeah, once you start suffocating, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it takes like 15 rounds to be dug out by someone else. So, yeah.
How are you going to survive?
I know, that's what I'm thinking as I'm looking. Or 6 rounds by a shovel. So it's you have to pretty much escape before you start the suffocation, otherwise you're dead.
This is where you hope you have, like, spider climb spells, boots of flying, a carpet of flying,
gaseous form.
Yes.
But, you see, the thing about this is when you get trapped in there, fine. You get trapped in there, you start suffocating. The other characters that happen to not get trapped in there are being attacked by the things that were trying to trap everybody in there.
Yeah.
So there's
a lot. Yeah, it's very much a death trap. because you have to start making saves to avoid falling in the pit while simultaneously trying to dig someone else so they don't die.
Yeah. This could TPK a party.
Yeah. This is where having a flying succubus is kind of useful.
Right.
Flies
or anything that can make you fly will be useful here.
Right. Because, like, he fell in the pit, and if you can get the succubus to help you, then all of a
Potion
sudden...
of gaseous form would be nice.
Yeah. Levitation.
Levitation would be okay.
Yeah, there's ways around it, but...
That totally negates these guys.
Right. Albeit, I would say they could probably throw some sort of bone dirt at players, like mud balls of some sort, that do a little bit. But the big stuff. If
you have a whole bunch of player characters that are all panicky and stupid,
they're all going to die. A flying carpet would be good.
Yep, wings of flying.
Yeah, so that you have the graves, which could end up being the graves for all your player characters.
Yes.
And now we got an intersection that has just the 3 passages to continue off. Mm-hmm. There's a 4th passage, but is blocked by 4 living walls, because why not?
These things are nasty.
Yes.
I was thinking of the living wall from Magic the Gathering.
Oh, yeah, that art, the original art.
Living wall spell,
Yeah. The original art on that was, like, unnerving. Yeah, they don't reprint that because, they kind of got away from it.
Gross.
Yeah.
Does a part of it look questionable?
Yeah. And then once those then you have to deal with the living walls, and once those are disposed of, as they leave, another living wall attacks.
Yeah.
This time it squishes the party against the opposite wall.
Yeah, that's what they do. They slam you against other walls.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it's not necessarily a devastating attack, but just imagining like getting crushed between 2 living walls.
Right, and also
nasty.
Yeah, and just imagine you're hitting these living walls after walking out of the graves.
Yeah.
So you just dealt with all of that. You just dealt with the creatures before that. So it's very much a battle of attrition. Yeah, individually, if you just plop these, you can defeat them, but one after another, because you're not getting lots of rest in this.
No, you are not.
No.
In fact, these living walls, I mean, initially you think, okay, yeah, they crush you or slam you into things. Well, it goes beyond that. They have their special defenses. They take half damage from piercing, bludgeoning, fire, and cold. So, if you think you're going to cast Fireball, great, go ahead, do it, but it's only going to do half.
Right. You better have Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt.
Throw
your beanbag. Lightning Bolt.
Yep. And then once you get past these living walls, then you can come across the treasury. Yay! And
finally a room you could rest in.
Right.
Finally.
Yes, because this is the one room that's not trying to kill you. It's just you get to take all the stuff, which is lots of gold, lots of silver, as in like 200,000 silver. So if you're taking all this, you're going to be encumbered by now.
Or you could be like me if you think you're going to rest. No, I'd make it like a living treasure hoard. And attack you.
Right. It's a mimic. Because, hey, he's doing magical experiments. Why wouldn't he have a mimic?
Yeah. Well, there is a monster like that, Hackmaster. It's the living horde.
Yeah. And then we got the treasury. So basically, we're now in the warehouse portion of this cave.
The storage area?
Yes.
This is... Ew.
Yeah, it's if you ever wanted to assemble your own Frankenstein monster, this is where you would go.
And anatomically correct, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, there's the crates of naughty bits.
Yes. Crate E, male naughty bits, dozen.
Right. And then...
Female naughty bits.
Hey.
11 sets. Yeah. Well, why not 12?
I think it's... Never mind.
Yeah, we don't... Yeah.
We want to keep this as PG as possible, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's also lots of kegs filled with liquid, red liquid, blood, lots of blood. Apparently he had a blood bank because you got your elf, human, red dragon blood? how do you get 50 pints of red dragon blood easily? Yeah, but the blood's been there a while, so you can't do your blood transfusions, but you could maybe use them for some magic.
Well, the vampire's blood is nasty because you might get addicted to it if you drink it.
Right, because if you drink a pint of the vampire blood, you get a little bit of healing, 1d4 plus 1 healing, and then you get plus 1 to hidden damage for an hour. And then each hour after that, you must make a saving throw or immediately take another drink if available.
Yeah.
It's also possible to use the blood as part of the transfusion, turning the character into a vampire.
Well, here's the thing, though. There's, I get the whole blood transfusion thing, might become a vampire, but yeah, you might get addicted to it if you're just going by the addiction part. Where are the ramifications if you get addicted?
Right. What's the withdrawal? Yeah. So
I'm guessing it's going to be one of those you search it out until you find it type deal.
Possibly.
Right.
Yes. Maybe if you drink too much of it, you turn into a vampire as well.
Ooh, insanity.
Right.
There you go.
I was thinking you go to the DMG and pull out the illness, alcohol, drunkenness, addiction rules.
There you go. And and like I said, maybe after a prolonged period of if you drink too much of it, maybe you'll turn into a vampire too.
Right.
I don't know.
If you gorge yourself too much, if you went too long and gorge yourself, then yeah. Or perhaps it drives you. You now have to hunt down all the vampire.
Yes.
Because you have to kill them, and so you kill them, then drink them.
Whoa.
Put them in a blender.
Yes. All of a sudden, you're
vampire frappe.
You're begging to storm Castle Ravenloft just because you need some vampire blood.
The new Strahd Blizzard. That's very clean.
Yes. And then
I made a bad joke. I am so sorry.
Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah, now
and then it gets even better.
Yes, it does, because now we're going into the drowning pool.
Yes, it looks like a nice, calm pool.
Yes, it does.
Back to things wanting to kill you again, so.
Yes.
Right, because as soon as you enter the room, hey, it's another devil. Why are all these devils hanging out in this is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
If the party does nothing, it just picks one.
Just go, hold on. You can always go by this old, evil attracts evil, evil begets evil sort of thing,
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he made some deals with some devils and didn't quite live up to his end of the bargain, hence why his magic turned him into worms.
Yes.
But with this, you enter the room, devil swims up. If they do nothing, it grabs a member and tries its drowning attack.
Yeah. It's a special type of devil called the drowning devil.
Yes. You get a saving throw versus death magic. On a fail, the character's lungs are full of water and begins drowning.
Yep.
So, and again, it's similar to the suffocation. You get half your constitution in rounds before you start taking damage, and it's that scaling damage. Same with suffocation. Removing water from another character basically requires chest compressions. Takes 1d4 rounds unless trained.
Yeah, form CPR.
Right, yeah. So if you have taken a lifeguard class, or as it says here, or is a sea elf, you can do it quicker. And it also does 1 to 3 points of subdual damage from these chest compressions. The pond itself is only 5 feet deep, so you can jump in and fight it. However, if the party flees, it doesn't follow because it doesn't want to leave its pool.
You know what? This is a place where you would make use of, it's in the DM's guide, the professions?
Yes.
Start, your previous profession before you became an adventurer. I would say if you had the profession of sailor,
yeah.
I know how to do this.
Right. Yeah. So if anyone has that in their backstory, I would give them that bonus easily.
Mm-hmm.
And then there, of course, since there's a monster, there's treasure. If you on the far side of the pond from where you enter, there's the belongings of all the victims. So just you get knickknacks and boots and clothes, and but there is a black dress that is a clothing of AC3. So
Building of defense.
Yep. Yeah, basically it acts as bracers of defense 3.
Yeah, it's the same thing as bracers.
Same things, but it's a black dress. So, hey, it's a nice little way to walk around in public and wear a nice little black dress and get some defense bonus to boost.
Oh, man. You see the name of the drowning devil?
Yeah.
It's an anagram. It's backwards. His name is Suquaj.
Yeah.
It's Jacques spelled backwards.
Jacques.
Yeah, Jacques Cousteau.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what he was going with.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Jacques spelled backwards. Damn it!
Jacques spelled backwards. Awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, drowning. Jacques Cousteau. Okay, cute.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. And then we got another alcove off here, and now we're in the bedroom.
The boudoir.
And then with this, it's clearly the former cordoned off. It's like cordoned off with like tapestry. That's now tattered and rotten. The chamber itself, it's like got a table. It's got a really long bed, and there's a figure laying.
Falling apart.
Yeah, and there's a figure laying in the bed underneath the covers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then
there definitely is.
Yes,
creepy doll in there, and
creepy dolls. Lots of just like decaying letters and notes. So this is where you can also kind of lay out some backstory too, if you want to expand this. And all the papers. The figure on the bed and the dolls are monsters. So at this point,
and this is what I like about this. Another portion I like about this module is this. The larger golem, the skin stitch, actually uses the magic item that it has.
Right.
And it uses it against you.
instead of just having it in itself and just not using it.
Right. It actually uses its treasure, that +3 great axe that we talked about earlier.
Right. And so you have this big creature with a great axe, and that's not actually the dangerous thing in the room.
No.
Nope, it's the little doll. The little dolly.
I mean, the skin sketch is nasty enough that, it looks like it's got, a flesh golem, but there's straw coming out of all of its orifices.
Yeah.
But you got this thing, was it called a Tupolak?
Yeah, Tupolak. Yeah, because it's got bite and claw damage, but the stink cloud it 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it just those two. It's got yourself a nice little battle here, and
if you're real good, you get this axe, which is pretty awesome, if you ask me.
Right, because it isn't just random great axe +3. It actually has a little bit of a backstory, so it's more of an artifact here. Because this one is named Theramir.
Theramir?
Yeah, and it was basically meant to fight undead. So. It gets +3 bonus, but doubles to +6 against the undead. It glows in their presence, so it's your undead radar. And then it glows different colors depending on what it is. Like
the more I hit dice, the different the color.
Right. So if it glows red, it's 10 and up. Like white for 1 to 3, and it glows dark, goes from blue to purple.
And if you see black, you're going to run.
Yeah, because that is your liches.
Yeah.
Okay, so the axe gets a backstory, but the devil no.
Correct.
No, apparently not.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, and the light also causes the undead to glow in turn, as if they had fairy fire cast on them.
Yeah, so you get those bonuses for fairy fire on them.
Right, and
this is a neat magic item.
Yeah, no, I really like this, and it also it's worth like 35,000 gold, but who's selling
3,500 XP.
Right.
But here's the thing: I would make a catch to it, though.
What's that?
There has to be a downside. You got to think of a downside with this thing.
It gives you gas every time you use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And. So you get flatulence, okay.
Well, here's the thing. Imagine, you're not going to be stealthy fighting undead with this, because you got a big, giant, glowy light.
Right. Yeah.
So it kind of very much is a beacon.
You can do that. Maybe the possessor of the axe has every time he uses it against undead, maybe he's cursed that he has to go and he goes into berserker rage every time he faces undead.
He gets a quest. He must destroy all undead, so he can get addicted to the vampire blood. Grab this axe. And
he has to kill himself.
No, he's just addicted. He didn't convert, so now he just has to go and roam the land, slaughtering all undead.
Oh my! He's just become Blade.
Yes.
Well, how about the side effect is something not that big of a deal, but kind of in a way. But I don't know, maybe. It's that once you start using this is the only weapon you can use. And any other weapon you do use, you have a negative effect upon you. Negative or something. Something that's not major, but enough that it's like kind of annoying nuisance.
Right.
Would you make this maybe intelligent?
Ooh.
With everything that's going on right now, probably not.
Yeah.
Albeit,
maybe in the future.
Yeah. I could see you doing that and having it be... He got Thamir was actually a person who wielded the axe and was trying to just kill the undead that the necromancer was raising, and he got vanquished and cursed into the axe.
Ooh, and then he starts talking to you and befriending you, and he tries to get you inside the axe so he can get out.
Yes.
Ooh, and he
Here we go. Yep.
Right.
Hi, Nick. I am your axe. How are you?
Hey, we kill undead great together. I can help you more if you do this.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't feel so good.
Nick, please come into this room.
Yeah. Walk into the mirror.
Don't you want your boat?
But then from there, now we're getting into the workshop where Terlath did all of his work, where all this was created.
If 14 wasn't a bad enough room, 15 is going to definitely put you under.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's full of bugs, all of which are controlled by Terlath. And they either make his body or animate to exoskeletons of 4 giant spiders and 2 giant wasps. And as soon as they enter, Terlath rises and takes form, and then this is where also the exoskeletons of the spiders start crawling into attack.
You know what? I just realized something. Maybe this might be something unaware. He might not have intended this with the module, but as I'm reading about it, I'm like, he might have had like an underlying thing. Things that people are most scared of.
Yeah, think about suffocation, buried alive, drowning, spiders,
creepy looking dolls.
Yeah.
That might be the underlying theme here.
Yeah, polka music.
I'm not sure people were scared of polka music, dude. But okay, sure. I'm sure there's some people out there.
Yeah, but no, actually, yeah, there is. The theme is very much that everything in here that's attacking is some sort of like phobia.
Yeah. Yeah, because like when I just put it together, like when you mentioned spiders, like I'm scared to death of spiders. I hate them. And I'm like, oh yeah, if I saw something like this that was a spider construct, it was made by the dead husks and exoskeletons of spiders. Yeah, I would run away. I would have to check. I would probably soil my armor and run.
Yeah. Okay, mental note. More spider reviews for the future.
Yes. Maybe we can find a book of anacrid monsters. Yeah, because and then when so you have all these things going on, and Terlath, the first thing he's just going to do, he has lightning bolt, so he's just going to be lightning bolt.
Yeah,
he won't fight intelligently. It's literally you walk in, you get lightning bolt.
And if he's not getting good results, then he'll start thinking about what he needs to do.
Yeah, because once the 2 lightning bolts are used, that's when he starts using web to trap the party.
Yeah.
He's got he has a globe of invulnerability spell he uses, and then if things start going bad, he just casts teleport without error.
Yeah. Well, and helping him, though, are these death web spiders and the death flyer wasps. He's got 6 total of these things.
Right. So,
along with Terlath himself, yeah, it's going to be tough.
Right, because
and going with the whole like phobia thing, the people fear. I'm wondering, as depending how detailed you are on a backstory for like player characters, the backgrounds, maybe you do give them phobias. And if they run into one of these things, they have to save versus, I don't know, spell or something like that, or they run.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Yeah. Just add that in, give them like that intimidating presence. It's like, oh crap, goodbye.
Yeah.
Because
Nick is on a roll today.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, he had
an
epiphany.
2 crackers.
Yeah, he had an epiphany here.
I had an epiphany.
You can leave on a high note, Nick. Go ahead and hang up.
I had an apostrophe.
Yeah.
In the head.
Yeah. And just to make Terlath just a little nastier, let's look at his damage resistance. No damage from piercing. Minimum from slashing. Regenerates 2 hit points around. Yeah. Minimum damage from fireball and cold attacks.
Yeah. Because all they do if it hits by a fireball, all it does is burns off the outer layer of worms and bugs.
Right. So, I mean, really, you're probably not going to kill him. He's going to end up fleeing.
The only thing you can kill him with are electricity sort of spells like lightning bolt, shocking grasp, something of that nature.
Right, but are you going to be able to do enough damage quick enough before he casts his teleport?
Probably not.
So now you have a reoccurring villain who's probably very annoyed.
Yep. And the only other thing I could think of is that battle axe, because he is technically undead. So, maybe magic items that affect undead would hurt him, but, what are the likelihood he ever had anything else besides the battle axe?
Right. So
he could still get away, like you said.
Right. He's probably going to make the villain get away, so you could eat. Exactly. And then once he flees or you kill him.
A worm.
Yes. Because there's a copy of the Demonomicon on the floor of this, which contains spells involving binding and summoning outsiders, hence how our not succubus got binded and locked in place.
And the drowning demon, too.
Right. Most of it's rotted, but so it only contains the Spirit Rack and Dolor spell. It also has the legible true names of demons and devils. So, it's got a little bit here. And then the last one, there's a blood pool. That after being defeated, the blood golem conceals into 10 blood rubies. And so basically there's this room is just weird because there's no setup to it. It's just blood pool.
Yeah, just a blood pool.
Blood and it attacks you.
Yeah, it's just like there's a pool of blood here, there's a blood golem, no other. Just looking at everything else, usually there's a little more setup to that. But
question: Dolor spell, where's that from?
I think that's a 3rd edition spell.
It has to be. I'm looking in the player's handbook. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't recognize that either.
Unless it's an Unearthed Arcana, but I don't have it available. It could be an Unearthed Arcana, but it just doesn't sound familiar to me.
It's an enchantment charm spell.
Oh, okay.
From Harry Potter.
What?
It's a Harry Potter spell, but I don't know if it's in. Let me see here. It's a 5th level spell. Yeah, it's a 5th level spell. But what edition?
Forces Compilance and Obedience.
I'm guessing magic user.
Yeah, it's a magic user. Yeah, magic user attempts to force compliance or obedience from some opposably aligned or hostile creature from a plane of foreign.
Okay, actually, it is from. There was actually an article done on it back in Dragon Magazine '68 by Gary Gygax.
The Dolor spell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, just as Matt read that, I read the last paragraph that said that.
It might be an Unearthed Arcana then. I'll go take a look.
Well, I'll put a link here in the...
Because I know Unearthed Arcana had a boatload of stuff from Dragon Magazine in it.
There's a description of the spell we can include in the show notes. It's for...
Is that 5th level?
Yeah, it's a 5th level spell. Enchantment charm.
There it is. Dolor. In Unearthed Arcana. I'll be doggone.
It's definitely one I'm not familiar with at all.
No.
Yeah, level 5 range, 10 feet, duration 2 rounds. 5 segments. By means of the spell, the magic user attempts to force compliance or obedience from some oppositely aligned or hostile creature from a plane foreign to that of the spellcaster. And it's a pretty long explanation after that.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
So that wraps up the module.
Pretty much.
My favorite part is how he put everything out for your viewing pleasure of everything you've given out. Every monster, every experience point, every room with treasure, added up, and the experience totals underneath, and the grand total of experience for the entire module, just based on gold, items, and hack and slash, is 145,685 experience points.
Yep.
And then we get our appendix of all the monsters that have been listed in here as its own little bestiary kind of thing. So you can get more description of everything, a little bit more detail about it. And this is kind of cool because you could just kind of, from this page on, rip it out of here and just use it and like add it to your DM binder for monsters.
Absolutely.
And use them however you want.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
I
nice.
like all the new monsters because, everybody's is, they want something new to face. So here you go.
Right. And then I also like this too because it's pretty much you have it set up to where you can just grab this module. You don't need to track down all your other monster books. It's everything you need is there to run it. Because some modules will just throw in the stat block, but still to get all the detail, you have to pull out your other books and everything. No, this has everything you need to run it.
I think that is a throwback to, or I should say a hat tip to 5e and 4e. You know how Matt might be more familiar too with this as well, that how they started including the monster stat blocks and then they gave the entire monster description with them in the back.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's just a touch that makes DMing so much easier. So.
All right, so swords out of 5. Matt, go ahead, start.
I'm going to go. This is like a definite 4. I mean, I really like it. It might be a little on the short side with only 16, so it may not fill up a full session. But by the time you start fleshing out like the setup and everything, you can probably get a good 3 hours out of it. I definitely like. It doesn't spell everything out, so like you have to start making up backstory to work it into your campaign. Be it the not succubus. Fleshing out the backstory more of some of the undead and everything. So, no, I definitely like it, and it's a pay-what-you-want module. So, it's definitely worth sending a few dollars towards the...
Averaging, as of this recording, $1.
Yeah. But,
so head over there. On the link we'll include in the show notes. Click on it, grab it. If you really like it, go back and donate the second time. Or donate the first time if you just, want to trust the author. But I suggest highly looking at it, and if you do like it, definitely go back and be like, hey, dude, here's a couple bucks.
Right.
My review, my sword, I'm going to say it's going to be 4.95 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
And it's almost a wonderfully perfect module because it has demons and devils and really warped and crazy things, which I like. There's a few little minor things like, polka music and the backstory of why that devil was there kind of irked me, but that's just me. Everyone else can probably just meh it. So 4.95, almost a perfect 5 for me for this one. Nick?
4.5 swords for everything that you fellas mentioned. I also like the little kind of in-jokes if you could figure them out. But overall, I like it. It's a nice, compact adventure. I can see this one that you can easily have it stand alone as maybe a jumping off point to a larger campaign for higher level characters. Or if you already have an existing campaign, you can have this as a side quest. Or it could potentially be part of a larger dungeon. You could even throw that in there too. So it's very quote unquote modular.
I think with all the combat going on, this could be a good, easy 4 hours. I mean, there's a lot of combat going on here.
Yeah, I could see this could be a good, like, one-night session thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Or maybe 2 nights, depending on how many hours your group plays and how fast they are moving around.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of downtime because you're going to be doing a lot of healing while running from room to room.
Right.
And this is one of the things I like about this module. When you get to, like, those higher levels, like 7th, 8th, 9th, it's hard to find challenges for those player characters, and this one will pose a challenge.
Yeah. I would almost, even to discourage the downtime, maybe just have some roaming undead. Why not? You would think there'd be like maybe some just skeletons or zombies or ghouls or whatever, just kind of roaming the cave.
A lich.
Yeah, lich.
Yeah, just random lich. Yeah,
why not? Hence why you need that sword. It glows red. Oh, no, lich. No, black. I'm sorry.
Yeah, black. Oh, snap.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Ooh, this is... I'm now seeing, if you had this axe mixed with the one sword from Rolaids that sprays the holy water, you have yourself a nice undead killing machine. So...
Maybe you can actually put the two together and they make a holy water sprinkler.
Yeah. Oh, well, or what if you took the vampire blood and put it in that sword and you started spraying people with the vampire blood?
Oh, boy.
All right, now you're just getting weird.
Yeah, now, yeah.
Matt needs to go to bed. He's tired. Okay, so anyway, that's what we have to do. Take a look at it. We'll put the link in the show notes for this show. Go take a look at it. And actually email us your thoughts, rfistaff@gmail.com. 570-865-4210 is the hotline if you want to leave us a voicemail. And we do actually have an email that we pulled out of the email box this week that we want to talk about. It does come from DM Steve. And he has a little interesting situation going on, and he wanted some advice. And I know he actually said that he was running it that Sunday when he sent it. So we apologize that he may have already gone through this, I believe, based on the time frame. Looking at this, he may have already gone through this. So his question is, he has 6 PCs in his party around 6th or 7th level, and they're going against a horde, a goblin horde of 40 to 400. So he wanted some advice on running. How does someone handle 113 versus 6 battle? Yeah,
very carefully.
And how do you handle the fatigue and everything? When does it set in? And he also wanted some advice on grappling. So I did a little poking around. I did a little Matt Google Foo, and looking at some of the books. Yeah, that's a term now. Matt Google Foo there. First of all, certain enemies can only attack one PC at a time, so it's not like 400 or whatever, 50 of these things can attack one at a time. Only a certain amount of people can reach in. Those that are doing melee. Those that are not doing melee can shoot into melee, which obviously would be the negative attack. Good thinking of 5e rules here. And also, on the flip side, fighters also gain the ability to attack low-level hit dice creatures at multiple times, according to the player's handbook on page 25. Which we had to remind ourselves about.
Yeah. We were like, where the hell is that? We've seen it before.
Yeah, Nick and I were looking for, like, where was that? We know we saw that.
Yeah, so like a 7th level fighter can attack 7 first 1 hit dice or lower creatures in that round. Is that right?
Yeah. He also wanted to know about fatigue rules. So that's, you have to go jump to the survival guide, wilderness survival guide for that one. Fatigue sets into 6 turns of strenuous activity, such as melee combat. And then from there, you would start adding your negative modifiers. And there's alternate things you can do. Like you can say based on, because I think that maybe using a constitutional modifier would be a better judge of strenuous activity, because I can't see everybody doing the same thing no matter what. Higher constitution people can last a lot longer doing strenuous activities versus people with lower constitution modifiers. Do you guys agree with that maybe? Or?
I would absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that it makes sense, because also think about it. How many other combats do you have that go 6, 7, 8 rounds so you're not using those fatigue rules? Because using that logic, anytime you swing the sword for let's see, if you have 6 rounds, that's 1 minute. Wait, that's segments. No, 6 minutes. 6 minutes of swinging a sword. So you swing the sword 6 times in combat round. Now you're fatigued. That just seems low. I would maybe you get your Constitution score before you even have to start worrying about your fatigue. So you have if you're
also take into consideration, you're not just swinging a sword. You're moving around. You're wearing armor. You're trying to avoid blows, maybe parry blows, so that all factors kind of in too, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. No, that absolutely would. I guess I'm just thinking of 6 just seems like too short of a period for the purpose, because otherwise, how many combats do you have where you would normally be using the fatigue, that you haven't used the fatigue rules, but you're using them in this situation?
I don't know. I've done 6 minutes of SCA combat in the past, and I was wiped out, dude.
Yeah, but that's you. You're not an adventurer running around every day, getting up in the morning, chopping wood. You're not building fires, and you're not foraging for food, and you're not sitting there with your buddies during the day when you're in your downtime practicing sword fights so you can keep your skills up. So, sorry.
Yeah. I just think out of the survival guide, 6 just seems a little short, because otherwise I think you would be hitting that a lot, and that's just
maybe double that.
It's 6 turns. So.
6 turns. So that's
saying 6 rounds. It's 6 turns.
Okay, that's a different. Okay, that's different. An hour.
A turn is an hour, right?
Right. So an hour of strenuous activity, yes. 6 minutes, no. So at that point, using those rules, I don't even think fatigue would even set in, because if you're fighting this horde for longer than an hour, something's gone wrong. But yeah, and plus also, I think you may think the goblin horde's a little scarier than they are, because one, if the players can get a sneaking jump on them, you could probably fire off a couple fireballs before they figure out what's going on. And that can wipe out a lot. So, yeah, when you have some 7th level magic user, 7th level mage, yeah, I think they'll be okay. But just the visual describing it will make it sound very impressive. So.
And also, it might be good to remember that goblins are
wusses.
Yes. Yeah, they're wusses, so they're going to start running when they're seeing their numbers dwindle. So you might want to take that morale thing into account there.
Right. Yeah, especially with mass combat like that, morale is sometimes the big deciding factor in the battle. You don't kill everyone, you kill enough that the rest run away.
But their morale gets boosted because their allies that just made come over the hill, and it's Tucker's Cobalts. And everybody runs.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, hopefully we've answered the questions, and we've given a nice little review for you to chew on and come back to us with some information. rfistaff@gmail.com, 570-865-4210, or visit us at our various places around the web. Find me on the Twitters at The Evil DM. And Matt, what's your Twitter again?
My Twitter is DegenX, DEGENX. Nice and simple. Yes, it was a screen handle I had from back in the late 90s AOL days in a reference to Generation X, and I just got lazy about changing screen names.
You can always change your Twitter name.
I know, but I've had it for so long, it's like, eh.
Yeah, I know. No point in doing it now. People know you by that.
Right.
Yep. Because then you got to go back and redo all the links. And
it's a mess, yeah. So.
And you can find Nick nowhere on Twitter.
Right,
because he's not on Twitter. He don't tweet.
Nope. He's the antisocial.
Yes. But you can find Nick on Facebook. Yeah, that's all. But yeah, head over to Facebook, check us out under RFI Podcast for Facebook, and give us your feedback. So other than that, we'll say keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hey, everybody.
The Roll for Initiative podcast is part of the Wild Games Productions Network and produced for entertainment purposes only. All other uses are prohibited. If you'd like to contact us, go to rfipodcast.com, click on Contact Us, or email us at rfistaff@gmail.com. Voicemail line 570-865-4210, Facebook.com/rfipodcast for more.